Welcome to ProjectME, the podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany Carter, the founder of ProjectME, multimillionaire entrepreneur, former TV newscaster, money-making expert, female empowerment speaker, and self-proclaimed office supply addict. My mission is to take the mystery out of making big money. Every week on ProjectME, the podcast, I'll share success tips, strategies, and stories from other entrepreneurs, experts, and millionaires, showing you exactly how you can achieve your most exceptional life. Now let's get to it. Exciting announcement for all of my listeners. I've officially opened my exclusive group, the ProjectME Passive Income Posse, to the public. This group is by application only, so we can keep the group high vibe and spend our time, energy, and expertise only helping those of you who truly want massive success and impact. You get live weekly trainings from me, special guest coaches, and direct access to me and my business partner for all of your questions. To learn more and apply, go to projectmewithtiffany.com, click on Work With Me, and select ProjectME Posse. And of course, any questions, feel free to DM me at ProjectMeWithTiffany. Welcome to ProjectME with Tiffany Carter, the podcast and posse. I'm your host, Tiffany, and this episode is for you today. If nothing feels like it's working in your business, everything seems to be growing slowly. Maybe you've taken like 3 steps ahead and got really excited, and now it's like 5 steps backwards. Maybe this has gone on for weeks and weeks and months, and now you're starting to wonder, am I going to have to go and get like a real job? Am I going to have to go back to corporate life? Am I going to be living in a tent somewhere and be the next person featured on my 600-pound life? That's where I go. And I still go there, by the way, which I think is a really important thing to start this episode off with. I don't care how much you have in the bank, how many years of experience you have, your degrees, your credentials, what appears like some amazing level of confidence. You are going to have moments without a doubt, and not like one a year, much more than that, where you're going, oh my God, this could all go to shit. The numbers, something's weird. The numbers are trending lower. Did I lose my touch? Is my audience sick of me? Is this not going to work? Is this new thing I'm putting out there, even though I did all the market research and all the things and everyone said they want it, and it doesn't feel like as many people are buying it as I thought? Like, what the hell did I miss? Am I an idiot? I put all this money out there. Now I'm going to end up losing everything and live in a tent and eating God knows how many grams of carbs to the point where I'll end up on my 600-pound life. Yes, that is where I go. Everyone has their thing, right? But I definitely go there in my moments of like pity parties, meltdowns, and freakouts. So I want you to hear that first and foremost. Everyone does. It just looks different on everybody. Some people internalize it where you don't even know that's what's going on, or they have too much shame around even having those thoughts, or even guilt, quite frankly. Because there are times where I can even feel almost guilty or self-involved for having those thoughts because I do have so much success, and because I am, someone who is here to lead you and coach you and guide you and empower you. So I can have some guilt and self-judgment around it. So I'll end up like sitting in it or going like, oh my God, there's people who are, obviously have it much worse, and there's bigger problems in the world. And here I'm having like a temper tantrum and a pity party about this. I need to get over myself. So I can tell you this, with having coached more than 1,500 people privately through all these years, people at all levels, people starting from zero, people who made millions and then had to file bankruptcy and were starting over, people who have, businesses that are bringing $10 million a month, working with executives at big corporations. every kind of person, every age group, demographic. I feel I have worked with male, female, doesn't matter. Every single person goes through this, especially when you're going after something new, and especially when you give a shit. It's the when you give a shit part. I hear this a lot from people who are transitioning out of being an employee into an entrepreneur. And this happened to me too, where it was like, but I was a top sales executive, a manager, a trainer. I won multiple awards. And then when I went to go and sell services for having my own business, I at least pitched and presented to 50 companies and only got 2 clients in 18 months. And it was like, what in the hell is going on here? Well, it's very different when it's your own versus when it's someone else's. It's your money on the line. It's your livelihood on the line. If you don't get clients, you don't get cash, right? You don't get to call in and have a sick day. I mean, you can, but your ass isn't going to get paid for it, right? You can't point the finger at anyone else. You can't say I have a shitty boss, so this company doesn't do any personal development work. The people on my team are awful. It's like you can try to point fingers, but all of it comes back to you. So whether you're winning, losing, things are working, things are breaking, you are the common denominator. And oftentimes, right, when you're starting, and many of you listening are going at it solo. You don't have employees yet. Maybe some of you have a virtual assistant. I know there's some of you, at different levels that, listen, obviously, who do have employees, who do have a team. But reality is that can cause even more stress because I know the people who I pay, they depend on me to feed their families and to pay their rent and mortgages, right? So then there's even a different layer of pressure. My point in saying this isn't to scare you. I just want you to understand that it's like different levels when you're going after something new. You've never had a course before, you're putting a course out. Maybe you're creating a second company. Maybe you're implementing physical products. Maybe you're trying to do things to develop streams of passive income for yourself. So you're not always trading your time for money. And it's still something new to you and new to your company, new to your brand. You're going to have all this shit come up. It is absolutely normal. When I put out my podcast, I'd never had a podcast before. All of this kind of stuff came up. So I want you to hear that this is absolutely normal. It's because you care. And I'm so familiar with that feeling. I mean, it is a horrible feeling when you're feeling discouraged, frustrated, and aggravated, and you are putting in the work and you do feel like you're doing all the things. And maybe you've invested in courses or group coaching or masterminds or, went down the weeds in Google University and reverse engineers people's stuff. And you're like, I'm doing the hashtags and my Instagram's still not growing and I'm putting myself out there and I know my stuff is good and it's not working. If you've been at that point and you're not just having a bad week or a bad day, like that week is turning into 2 to 3 to a month and it's like month after month, it's ongoing. I don't want you to keep beating your head against the wall and keep forcing and pushing and hustling and trying and figuring it out. No, you're in this fear vortex. And it's not an energy that is going to attract anything to you. You've heard me say it a million times. You cannot fake energy. You can't out-strategize a broken mindset or a mindset that has gone off course. You just can't. People might not tell you, even in your own personal life, they might not tell you like, hey, your vibe is like way off, girl. Like they might not tell you that. And certainly strangers on the interwebs are not going to tell you that. And they might not even recognize it, but they won't be magnetized or polarized to you. They'll be repelled instead because you just have this edge to you, or there's almost like a sense of a desperate energy to you, like you're real thirsty for it, even though you're trying to act like you're not. People can pick up on that energetically, and then things aren't working. So now you end up in this vortex, right? Where it's like, you keep trying, you keep pushing, you keep working, you keep trying to figure it out, but then you're in that energy and then nothing's working. And now you're spinning. We've got to get you out of that. I know what that feels like. I remember being there. I actually remember where I was when I was like, what the fuck? Like, something's got to give. I was sitting at an airport drinking wine because I wanted to like really escape how I was feeling. I was at like, I actually have a term for it. I call it like my fuck it zone. It's not the zero fuck zone. That's very different. That's from a place of empowerment. The fuck it zone is, and I know you guys have been there, where it's like, you just want to run away. You want to dissociate into eating, you know, a whole pizza, wine. I mean, just, I want to disappear, maybe sleeping, maybe 5 hours of Netflix, right? Like, fuck it, screw it all. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to forget about my life for a while. That's not good. That's coming from a disempowered place. It's coming from that hopeless space. This is not good, but we're only human and we've all been there. And I wanted to quit. I mean, it was too much, too hard. And I was like, oh my God, it was actually easier being in corporate life. However, I did not want to go back and lose my freedom and be someone else's employee. Thank God there's that like stubborn side of me, because that kind of saved me. It's like I might have said I wanted to quit, or maybe I should quit, but I really didn't want to because I didn't like what the other options were. So I got to a point where I was so frustrated where nothing was working that I made one of the most important decisions in my work life. And I'm sharing this with you today because there are some of you that need to hear this and need to do this. And I decided to hit the pause button on my business. Not quitting, I hit the pause button. I was willing to hit pause and go, you know what? I'm going to throw out everything I thought I knew, you know, because, you know, I was a little high on my own supply, right? Like having all those sales awards, being in a prestigious, you know, the pharmaceutical career and being well known in that. Being the go-to person, yada, yada, yada. Right. And so I was willing to be humble enough to throw out everything I thought I knew and go back to the drawing board. I had never been an entrepreneur before. I had to like really get humble and check myself. Why in the hell would I know what I'm doing when I've never been an entrepreneur? I was raised by two, but no one ever taught me anything about it. Right? It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to teach you the business so you can inherit it someday. No, there was none of this going on. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't have a coach. I didn't know they existed, aside from, you know, the people like Tony Robbins and Zig Ziglar and stuff like that. And I read a lot of those books. I think it was like 4-Hour Work Week. And who remembers the Who Moved My Cheese? I remember I had like a boss that gave us all Who Moved My Cheese, and we all had to like read it and then come and talk about it at a meeting. It was like a giant eye roll, but it was actually a cute book. But I did read stuff like that. But I didn't see myself in any of these books. Most of them were very masculine, dominated, and they were written by people who were like, you know, already millionaires or, you know, worth hundreds of millions of dollars or even $1 billion. And, you know, here I was just trying to figure out, like, I don't even know what the hell you're supposed to do on a day-to-day basis as an entrepreneur. So I was willing to take myself back down to, you know what? I don't know anything, and not in a way of like self-criticism. Just, I don't know what I don't know. And I need to stop pretending like I know, stop trying to throw spaghetti at the wall and hoping it will stick, or even almost like tricking myself into thinking it will stick because it worked in my corporate life and in my corporate job and in my corporate positions and with those corporate clients. So why wouldn't it work for my own business? This is crackers. And it wasn't working and it wasn't feeling good. And this wasn't heading anywhere in a good direction that was working for me. I mean, the amount of time and effort and energy I put in when you're especially going after like corporate clients, I mean, they want full PowerPoint presentations that are customized and spreadsheets. And a lot of times you have to pay your own travel to go and present in front of them. And you're putting all this time up front, and then to not get the gig and to not get the contract. I mean, it's a lot of upfront work. Right. And it's a lot of upfront work for you guys too, whether you're in wellness, you're in fitness, you're have professional services, whether that be, accounting, or you're a medical professional. It is still a lot of upfront work. Maybe you're not having to fly places, right, or putting together as in depth of some kind of like a presentation or something like that. But you're having to put out a lot of content, do emails, do all different posts, do videos, do freebies, do podcasts, do sales calls. It's a lot. So when you're putting out so much and you're not receiving anything back, it feels like shit. And you can only keep that up for so long. So you've got to be willing to go, you know what? I've got to stop just pretending that I know what I don't know, and thinking I can just kind of reverse engineer other people who I watch and study. And I can do that too, even though you have something to offer and you have good stuff. You've just got to be willing to stop it. And I was willing to be that humble. It was a moment of, I call it like career surrender, like business surrendering, like to a power greater than yourself. I waved the white flag, even though it was all on my own. I don't even know if I told anybody I was doing that, because I didn't have really anyone in my life who would have really gotten it, or that I felt safe sharing that with. So I waved my own white flag and I went, okay. So I can't remember exactly how long. I might have taken 2 weeks. Now, I did have 2 clients out of the 50 people that I pitched to at the time. So obviously I was going to make sure I was doing my work and serving those 2 clients. But I stopped going after any new clients, anything like that. Anything I had in the books, I actually moved it out. I think I gave myself a solid 2 weeks. Now, I didn't want to go much beyond that, because let's be real, like Mama needed to make sure she was bringing in cash. Like, I actually had a mortgage, right? I had a pretty nice, I mean, by a lot of people's standards, right? I had a luxury lifestyle because I left a very lucrative career. I didn't leave some like job that was paying me pennies. I already left a lucrative career. So I was already used to having a very nice lifestyle, not to the level maybe I have now, but I already had a very nice lifestyle. So I didn't want to lose that. So what I did is I took about 2 weeks and I gave myself that space. This is how I made it deliberate and intentional. It was a decision. It is a decision, people. All these things are decisions. It's a decision to keep throwing spaghetti at the wall, keep spinning your wheels, keep forcing and pushing and hoping that it'll just click. It's a decision to do that. It's a decision to be in analysis paralysis and freeze and do nothing. It is a decision to make press the pause button and regroup. It is a decision to surrender. It really is. It's a decision. So I made some key decisions, which, like I said, it's the most important decision I've made truly on my business life. And it was very humbling, believe me, because when you first start out, you have those waves as an entrepreneur where you're like, I'm going to get like the Forbes under 40 list. I'm going to be on the cover, or I'm going to be so high in demand, or I'm going to get this certain ranking at my network marketing company and win the car and the trips and all this stuff. And it's very humbling when you get to the point where things aren't working. And I don't mean 3 months in. So if you're 3 months in and the shit isn't working, for sure, you need to have an ego and expectation check. Now, without me knowing exactly what you're doing and not doing, there likely could be things you're totally missing the mark on. You could be doing differently. But 3 months in, it's like if you all of a sudden think you're going to be crushing it in 3 months, someone has sold you a bag of lies, and likely that person is you, because it is a decision to take on a belief, right? If you want to believe that, Polly the influencer made her first 6 figures in 90 days, and now she's on a French Polynesian island, and has retired her husband, and they just share the products that they love while in between, getting massages and sunning themselves on the beach. Like, that is a decision to believe and buy into that story. There's a term that they use in the recovery program that I'm in for being an exercise addict, among other things, right? Addicted to people, places, and things. And it's called fantasy thinking. Like, you're on the fantasy channel. It's a form, it's actually a really interesting form of denial, but it's like this fantasy channel. Like, you see people do it in relationships, like, oh, well, when we have a baby, it'll change everything in the dynamic of our relationship, or our relationship's only like messed up right now, or my business right now because of, COVID. And once this is over, it'll all change. Or, oh, I know that, I just make sure I post every day and show up, and the people will just come to me, and I will be making 6 figures, in my business in under 6 months. Oh, that's fantasy channel shit. Okay. That doesn't mean it can't happen, but it is fantasy channel. It's lies we tell ourselves at the moment to make ourselves feel better about things, and almost like a form of like self-soothing. But it ends up not serving our greatest good. It leads people to be spinning and spinning and spinning and stuck in that vortex. I've seen people stuck in it for years, including myself, which is why I share so directly with you guys, is because I needed someone. I wish there was someone who shared that bluntly and directly with me, because it might have woke me up. I say might because, who knows? So during that 2 weeks, I said, all right, God, like, all right, universe. Well, at the time I didn't believe God cared about me. So I only spoke to the universe. All right, universe, let's work on this thing, right? Let's go back to the drawing board. I took probably a solid 5 days and didn't do anything in regards to business. And anytime I started thinking about my business, I made myself stop. So I did creative projects. I probably went and got, a massage. I went for walks. Who knows? I might have watched TV. I needed to almost like reboot my brain from being in that vortex. What I would do if I needed to do that again now, I would probably, for me, I need to change my environment. So I might have go away for the weekend or go away for a week. But I also am aware that that's not in everyone's like financial wheelhouse. But for me, changing an actual location works really well. And then I asked myself some key questions, like what can I do differently here? Right? Obviously, what I'm doing isn't working. So let's look at what I can do differently. And I opened up my mind into thinking about other ways. What is a different way I can approach this? What is a different way and an easier way that I can, get in front of my ideal client more? What is it about me that I am causing some of the problem here, right? Like, obviously, I'm the common denominator. So what are some things about me that I need to take a look at, that I need to explore with? So basically, I was doing self-coaching. This would have worked much better had I had a coach then. But again, it wasn't really a thing. And I shouldn't say that. They existed, but I had a belief they only existed if you were like, the president of Coca-Cola or something like that, or you're a celebrity. I didn't think they existed for like little old me. So I would want you to go and seek counsel during this time. What I mean by that, if what you've been doing isn't working and you're at that point and you're willing to be that humble and go back to the drawing board and ask yourself some key questions, right? Like, how can I go about this differently? How can I go about this in a way that would feel better to me? What is it that I'm bringing to the table that isn't serving the greater good here? What is it about my attitude, my beliefs, my energy, how I even start my day? I really want you to take a full assessment of everything. So you can do that on your own, but I highly recommend that you reach out to somebody who is either, a mentor who you highly value. Not everyone has that available to them. You do something like book one of my 90-minute private sessions. I think there are literally a handful of those sessions left, by the way, for October. I purposely priced them at $497 so that they're incredibly affordable to you guys. And those are to be used for things like this, where it's like, I'm spinning, it's not working, or I don't even know where to begin and I'm spinning on that. I don't know if I have the right profitable niche, who's my ideal client, how to get more of them. I'm trying to go to this level in my business, or I'm even trying to start this in my business. And I don't have like a concrete solid plan in place. It's kind of like I'm kind of guessing here. I'm grasping at straws. That's who those are designed for. So you can go to my link in bio on Instagram at ProjectME with Tiffany, and it's in the link, or you can just go to my website at projectmewithtiffany.com and go under work with me, and you'll see my 90-minute sessions there as an option. You can also do this, but you have to be really careful who you select. You can do this with someone if you have another friend who also is in business, right? And you can go to them and ask them like, hey, can I run something by? And you have to be humble though. People are amazingly willing to help you when you're humble, not when you're on your high horse or in a pity party mode. So you might have to take like those 5 days to really reset yourself before you even ask. And ask someone, maybe you are in some kind of a close-knit Facebook group or a mastermind or group coaching, or maybe you're inside my posse and there's someone who is a little further along than you, who seems like their stuff is working. That's why I mean by be careful, because you want to make sure that what someone's doing is actually working. They're not just fronting. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people fronting out there that you think their stuff's working just because they have a lot of followers or something like that. And they're actually broke and they're on my client list, right? So you want to be very discerning, but reach out to someone and say, hey, I need to have another pair of eyes on my business and be willing to tell me about my brand, my business, even energetically, how I'm coming across. I'm humble enough and I'm willing to listen, and just for blunt feedback. Would you be willing to do that? And if there's anything I can give you feedback on, I'm more than happy to as well. So make sure it's a two-way exchange, because it never feels good when it's like, oh, I would love your eyes to be on my business and want feedback. It's like, oh yeah, because we all have fucking time for that, honey. No. I don't want that. So you have to come from that space. And just again, be careful who you're asking, right? Don't go to the hardware store for milk. Make sure you're asking somebody who either is someone who you're asking about your energy, right? Like you're asking someone who you know is like more of an empath and intuitive, and they'll let you know about your energy. It could be a cousin. It could be someone in one of your groups. It could be someone who's like still kind of a stranger, but like an Instagram pen pal kind of a thing. I'm okay with that. I'm really okay if you obviously go and pay someone for this guidance. But again, you want to be discerning. I wish I had done all of it. I wish I had known or had someone I could pay at that time. because then you're really getting someone who is being compensated to have your best interest at heart and look at your business, like what I do for you guys. I would have loved to have had someone in my life at the time who I could have asked humbly for them to just be blunt with me. I also had such low self-worth. I was probably too afraid to do that. I was afraid to hear what someone would say, that it would just shatter me, because there was part of me that was like secretly didn't think I deserved any of it. So I was afraid someone was going to squash my dreams. That was my own shit. And get that feedback, because a lot of times we can't see what we don't see. We're too invested in it. We're in our own way. And you know what it usually is, you guys? Because I know that's like part of what you want to know here. It's like, okay, so what was it? What shifted? It was my approach. It was my approach with clients, and it was my energy and beliefs. And I was like overworking. I was pushing, I was grinding, I was forcing a square peg into a round hole and like demanding it fit. That was the energy I came from. Like, this is going to work. I am like demanding it. I'm going to just I'll keep fucking pushing it in there and pushing it in there till the damn thing jams and goes through. Right? That's where I was coming from, versus coming up with a way that felt easier and better to me, versus me being very clear. I wasn't clear on who I wanted as my client. I just wanted cash and clients. That is not being clear about who you want as an ideal client. That's not good. That's like dating and going, well, I just want a boyfriend, or I just want a girlfriend, or I just want a great guy, or a great wife, or something like that. Oh, that's really narrowing down the pool. And by the way, I used to do that too. Well, I didn't say like the husband thing, but I said like, I just want like a really like solid, like honest, fun guy. Oh yeah, that's really narrowing it down, Tiff. Great job. Then I ended up with like dates with guys with like toupees and who were broke and who were addicted to things. And I could go on and on. So that's what's happening when you're not being specific and clear about who you're going after. I was just so focused on like my ego wanted the money and to make it work. And I was too afraid to narrow it down, because then my chances might even be lower of getting any clients or cash. No, no, and no. So if this episode has woken you up a bit, I want you to do something. Go and write a 5-star written iTunes review, and make sure you put your name or your Instagram handle inside the review, and then DM me. Let me know you've left a review, and I will treat you to a Starbucks drink of your choice. If you're somewhere else where there isn't Starbucks by you, then some other coffee company or juice company of your choice. Because I want you during these 5 days that you take a pause, or maybe you just need an afternoon, right? I don't know all of your lives. Maybe you just need an afternoon or a day. Like, go get an amazing protein shake or a pressed juice or a coffee and go sit in a park, or just sit in your car and listen to music and treat yourself. Like, go get that, that ridiculous, overpriced, delicious coffee drink, and do that for yourself. Or go meet up with a friend you haven't talked to in a while. And I want to be able to treat you for that, for you guys showing your appreciation for the show and leaving that 5-star written iTunes review. I really appreciate that. The goal is to get to 400 5-star reviews by the end of the year. So really, please help the show get there. It helps our show grow and allows me to continue putting out this great free content for you guys. Again, you've been spinning long enough and sitting in that frustration and discontent long enough. Make a decision. It is a decision. Stop trying to pound the square peg into the round hole and make a decision and do something about it. If you feel called and you know that I'm the right person to guide you so that it can be clear and you can move on, then go book a 90-minute session with me. Again, there's only a handful left, so don't wait on it. The link is in my bio at ProjectME with Tiffany on Instagram, or you can go to my website, ProjectMeWithTiffany.com, under Work With Me, and then book it straight through there. I hope you guys were able to really hear me in this episode and you have that sense of empowerment, like, okay, I get what she's saying. Like, I'm willing to humble myself and like take it down a notch in order, and even take a pause in order for you to rocket forward. Because most of the time, it's not that you need to do more. It's that you need to fucking stop and be still. Now, I would have almost never believed anybody who would have told me this back in the day. So I'm hoping you'll believe me. I may have believed someone like me, but no one ever said it to me. But it's usually not that you need to do more. So hear that. Wishing you great wealth, health, and worth. Love you guys so much. Talk to you soon. If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.